converted man here. All right, this video has already been covered by Aaron Ra, but I want to also talk about it. It's great. Ask yourself 2 questions. Darkness Between Worlds says to us pesky atheists. I guess I qualify. So, yeah. So I just want to go to the questions that he wants us to ask. And the first one goes at about 1:23. So we'll get there. We'll cue that up. I'll play his question, and then I'll explain why it's a bad question and how incoherent it is, etc. And then I'll answer it anyways. And I'll do that with his other question, and then we'll go back in the video a bit and cover some other stuff. So here we go.
Number 1, would you rather be in love or would you rather be right?
Okay, would you rather be in love or be right? Okay, so we're playing the would you rather game. Would you rather eat a plate of poo or be able to jump off of a building and not get hurt? Well, I think I'd rather be able to jump off of a building and not get hurt. That seems more preferable than eating a plate full of feces. But, it's supposed to be a difficult choice. Would you rather? Would you rather have $1 million, but, some weird condition, So, I don't know what this false dichotomy has to do with your burden of proof regarding God. I don't know how it is very incoherent. So, love, okay. How can I have love without being right in some way, shape, or form? So this is a very weird thing, because what do you mean by be right? Do you mean that I'm right about everything? Like, all the time? Well, if that was the case, then I'd rather be right, because not only would I know everything, I'd, be able to say, hey, the answer to this problem is, whatever I said next would be right, and I could solve all the world's problems. That'd be really great. And I also would find somebody to love because I'd be right about them being the right person to love. What kind of, so am I wrong about being in love? If I'm not right, then I'm wrong. So am I wrong about being in love? So if I chose being in love, then, well, I'm not right, so therefore I'm wrong about being in love? It just makes no sense when you actually think about it. But basically, what this question is really saying is, would you rather have nice, fluffy emotions or know what is correct, know what's true, know what's real? I'd rather know what's real. That is very simple. I'd rather have the truth. No matter how harsh that truth is, no matter how brutal that truth is, I'd rather know the truth than be told a lie. I'd rather know the truth than believe a lie. It's that simple. It's not that complicated. Love is great, and maybe I'll have it, maybe not. Maybe I'll be in love or not. And, like what? Can I never be in love if I'm right? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, I'm right in this argument. Is that what you're meaning there? I don't know. It's a completely incoherent, disjointed, weird question that has nothing to do with anything to do with why I don't believe in God. But I'm going to have to go with being right. Because if I'm not right about something or anything in this case, then I could never be right about being in love. And so then the first part would be false, making this a non-question. All right, let's see. Going back to the next question, which appears at 2:59-ish. Let's see. Okay.
Question number 2. Is it true or is it useful?
All right. Yeah, this is a completely different false dichotomy. Is it true or is it useful? If it's not true, it's not useful. Period. The end of that's it. Done. Thanks for playing. It cannot be useful unless it is true. I mean, like, what do you mean by useful? Useful in what regard? Useful, what, to manipulate somebody or to gain an advantage? Then I suppose lies are definitely useful at times. Is it useful? So it's useful to think that tomorrow will be better than today because that gives you a reason to keep going. But it might not be true that tomorrow will be better than today, right? Something like that. Do you have any reason to think that tomorrow will be better than today, or I mean, it's what if it's true and useful? Of course, this is again a false dichotomy. So, if I don't know that it's true, I don't care about it. Whether it's useful in some way, shape, or form, I also don't care because I only care about what's true. Um, the things that are useful but they are not true are lies. And yeah, lies can be very useful in certain circumstances, but I'm not interested in lying to myself or others. Um, it's difficult at times to try to be honest, but it is something I value very much as the truth. So again, nothing to do with the burden of proof that you have, but basically what you're saying is, well, again, isn't it better to just believe stuff that's really nice and fluffy to believe than to know that you're, what the true nature of reality is? And then he links to a study to support his underlying idea that religious people are better off than non-religious people. Well, I found a different study that says, well, no, non-religious people are just as good off as religious people. So I put that in the description. And then I found a Pew Research thing that's even more in depth than his study or the other study that I found. And I linked that as well because the ultimate conclusion of that in-depth study is it's unclear what the association causation is. Although what's interesting is people of religious bent tend to self-report feeling better than non-religious people, and that seems to me to be that they're more dishonest with themselves than us non-religious people. Like, how are you doing? It's rough. I've been going through a rough time. Oh, how are you doing? Oh, God has been great, even if they're having a hard time. So that's what I would see that as. And there's nuance in that other paper, and I think it's extraordinarily hard to find an association causational link between religion and well-being. We're assuming that those two are conjoined or tied in any way, shape, or form. It's an assumption, and it's very hard to figure out if it's true or not. But even if it was true across the board, and here's what he does, he kind of talks a little bit about that and says, well, I'm not telling you to just believe whatever, but you are. Oh, it's better for your health. Okay, that's nice. Even if that was 100% true, I can't just force myself to believe in nonsense just because it would be better for my health. I think that would break my mental health, if nothing else. So basically, you're saying believe in nonsense because it might make you feel better. No thanks. I'd rather believe in reality. Going back again, let's go back to about here, I think it is.
Seem to have more trouble with this. Question number 1. Would you rather be in love, relationships most to be right instead of It's not very enjoyable or connecting to be trying to prove a point, to be forcing a point down someone else's throat.
I don't care. Um, so you're talking about basically engaging in argumentation. If you're right, then you're right. And if they don't want to accept that you're right, well, that's on them. And your choices are either accept that they're wrong or walk away. So I'd walk away.
And this is where this question is a really good reminder for me in direct relationships, but also in any friendships or any relationship at all. Would I rather be right or would I rather be in love?
You don't have to choose between those two. You can be right and loving at the same time.
Should add a caveat that this should be applicable to atheists and theists, people who fervently or zealously believe in their point of view. Would you rather be right about your perception of God, or would you rather lean into connection and love for your fellow man or woman? The reason
So yet another false dichotomy. So would you rather be right about your perception of God or love your fellow human beings more? Well, I think it's more useful to love other humans because they actually exist. And you'll never know if you're right about God. You won't, because there's no God to be right about, as far as I can tell. So let that part go and focus on humans. There you go.
why I think atheists could particularly benefit from this question is pretty much all of the quotes I mentioned before from O'Connor, from Dawkins. There is an undertone of using rationality and logic to prove what's right.
Oh, no, not rationality and logic. How dare you use rationality and logic to prove what's real and true? Ah, oh, you silly, pesky atheists, always using rationality and logic to get what's really real and true. Why can't you just believe stuff? Yeah.
Whereas faith, generally speaking, focuses on the emphasis of believing in something even without the claim of truth, whether
Yeah.
through facts and figures, statistics, etc.
Right. And it's interesting how many people will reject that notion of faith, even though some theists will admit to it. So faith is believing in something without any evidence. That's always what it's been. But some apologists, some theists will be, oh, no, faith is about trust, or faith is this, or faith is that. No, faith is believing in something without any data, any support, any evidence at all whatsoever. That's what faith is, and he just admitted it. It's so good, I want to play it again.
Atheists could particularly benefit from this question is pretty much all of the quotes I mentioned, using rationality and logic to prove what's right. Whereas faith, generally speaking, focuses on the emphasis of believing in something even without the claim of truth, whether through facts and figures, statistics, etc.
Yeah, there you go. Faith is about believing in something, whether or not it's true, whether or not it's real, whether or not you have facts and figures. Just believe it's true because it feels good. Okay. There you go. That's why we don't believe. It's because you don't have any facts or figures or data. That's it. And whether it makes me feel good or bad doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. Emotions don't matter in regards to what's true. So this guy needs to ask himself several questions. Why do you want to believe in lies? First of all, or do you want to believe in lie? Do you want to believe in something that's not true just because it makes you feel better? Fatima X 11 says, what if the truth makes you feel really, really bad and the lie makes you feel really, really good? Oh, it could be. Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's nice, but it's still not true and it's still false. So how something makes you feel is independent of reality. And it might be the case that the lie makes you feel great, and that the truth makes you feel terrible. So, darkness between worlds, what do you value? Do you value the truth, or do you value your emotions? And I think that you value your emotions more than truth. You need to ask yourself why you don't have data or tests or evidence for your beliefs, and why you're okay with that. You need to ask yourself, why aren't you using reason and logic? Why are you relying on feelings rather than facts? It's so interesting when theists admit what faith really is, because it reveals the game. The game is up. Yeah, you believe in something without evidence. No, I know that. I've known that. I've said that. Some theists reject it and argue against it. Some go, well, here's an argument that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. But some of them actually are honest. So he's at least honest about what faith really is. I believe in something without any proof because it makes you feel good. That's nice. And why do that? Why believe in something just because? Because it makes you feel good? Like that's good enough for you? So you don't care about what's true? You don't care about what's real? I guess so. I don't know. I don't think he's asked himself deep intellectual questions of epistemology or logic or reason or rationality. It seems to be all about emotion and feeling to me. And he needs to ask himself several questions about why maintain a belief without evidence. And if your answer is because it makes you feel good, you can't object to anybody else at all, ever. And won't that eventually lead to conflict? The problem is that your belief is not a benign one, because one belief usually leads to another belief, and so on and so forth. If you believe in God and you wish to keep that to yourself, it will hurt you and no one else, perhaps. But usually belief in God is attached to other beliefs about reality, and that includes trying to enforce what you think your religion says onto others, which isn't fair to them because they don't follow your religion. The people of your religion, if they want to live a certain way, that's up to them. They have the freedom to do that as far as I'm concerned. But the push of your religion on others is where the problem comes. Would you rather have freedom or slavery? Would you rather have a dictator like God, like your God, in charge? Or would you rather have freedom? Yeah, well, anyways, so that's it. His two questions I've answered. I'd rather be right, and I'd rather have the truth. That's it. Thanks for asking. Don't know what these questions have to do with your burden of proof regarding God, but you've admitted you don't have any proof, so I shouldn't believe in God. And neither should you, even if it makes you feel good. It's not a good enough reason to believe in something, is how it makes you feel. That cannot be a good enough reason to believe something. What if you have no emotion about it one way or the other? It doesn't make you happy, it doesn't make you sad. How do you decide if you want to believe in it then? So there's not an epistemological framework here. And it's not a way to get to what's real. It's just a way to feel good. Well, that's, like I said, that's it. That's all I've got for this one. Check out the links I provided, and See you next time, and until then, be skeptical, and after that, stay skeptical. It's certainly a lot better than just believing in stuff because it feels good.